Picture this. You sit down to start the TOEFL reading section and the Complete the Words task appears on your screen. You see a paragraph with letters missing and for a moment your mind goes blank. Many candidates struggle with this task. The reason is usually not that their English is weak. It's because they don't know how to approach this task in a structured way. High-scoring candidates think about this task differently. They don't panic when they see the gaps. Instead, they use specific techniques that help them fill in the missing letters quickly and accurately. Strategy can make a real difference. We've helped thousands of students prepare this way through our TOEFL packages. They discover how strategic preparation can help them approach the TOEFL with more confidence. In this video, you'll learn 10 practical tips that can help you handle the Complete the Words task with more confidence. By the end, you'll know how to prepare effectively for this task. Before we get into the tips, let's quickly look at what this task actually involves. In the Complete the Words task, you're given a short academic paragraph. The first sentence stays whole. Starting from the second sentence, the second half of every other word is missing. Your job is to type in the missing letters so that each word makes sense in context. This task measures how well you understand the meaning of the text. It also measures how well you understand the structure of English words. Because of this, you need a mix of vocabulary knowledge, grammar awareness, and reading comprehension to do well. The good news is that this is a skill you can build with the right approach, and that's what these 10 tips are designed to help you do. This task can feel different from other reading question types because you're not choosing an answer from a list. You're producing the answer yourself, letter by letter. Many candidates find this format more challenging at first, simply because they're not used to it. Once you understand how to break the task down into smaller steps, it becomes much more manageable. You'll find that the same patterns repeat across different topics and passages. It also helps to remember that this task isn't only testing your spelling, it's testing whether you can use context, grammar, and word structure together to understand a passage, even when part of the information is missing. Thinking of it this way can make the task feel less like a guessing game and more like a skill you can train one step at a time. Now, let's start with tip number 1. It is to read the entire passage before filling in any gaps. Many candidates start typing the moment they see a missing word, but this often leads to mistakes. Read through the whole paragraph first, even with the gaps in place, so you understand the general topic and the flow of ideas. Once you understand the overall meaning, the missing letters become much easier to predict because you already know what the sentence is trying to say. For example, if the passage is about ocean currents and you see this word near the word ocean, your understanding of the topic helps you predict that the word is likely water. Without reading the full context first, you might guess a completely different word that doesn't fit the meaning of the sentence. So, taking a few extra seconds at the start to read everything through can save you a lot of guessing later on. This first read-through also helps you notice the overall tone of the passage. It tells you whether it's describing a historical event, explaining a scientific process, or discussing a social trend. Knowing the tone in advance makes it easier to predict the kind of vocabulary the writer is likely to use throughout the rest of the paragraph. Tip number 2 is to use the first sentence as your anchor for understanding the topic. Since the first sentence in every Complete the Words paragraph stays intact, it gives you a complete, gap-free introduction to the subject. Use this sentence carefully. It often tells you the main topic, the time period, or the field of study the rest of the paragraph will discuss. If the first sentence mentions early human communities and cave paintings, you can expect the rest of the paragraph to use vocabulary related to history anthropology, or art. This narrows down the kinds of words you should expect when you reach the gaps later in the text. Treat the first sentence as a preview of the whole paragraph rather than just an introduction you read quickly and move past. It can help to mentally summarize the first sentence in your own words before continuing. This forces you to actively process the information instead of skimming over it, and it gives you a clearer mental picture of what the rest of the paragraph will likely discuss. Tip number 3 is to look closely at the letters that are already given. Each gap doesn't leave you with no information at all. You will usually see the first half of the word, and your task is to complete the second half. Look carefully at how many letters are missing and which letters are already shown, since this gives you important clues about the word's length and possible ending. For example, if you see this word, you already know the word starts with B-E-G-I. Your task is to think of words that start this way and fit the context. In this case, the missing letters are likely N, N, I, N, G, which completes the word beginning. Start with the letters you already have, rather than guessing a completely different word that might not match the letters shown. It's worth practicing this skill with everyday vocabulary first, before moving on to more academic topics. Try covering the second half of random words while you read articles in English and see how quickly you can guess the rest based on the first few letters alone. This builds the same mental skill the test requires. Here's a tip that's easy to overlook. Pay attention to grammar, not just meaning. Sometimes more than one word could fit the meaning of a sentence, but only one fits the grammar correctly. Check whether the missing word needs to be a noun, a verb, an adjective, or another part of speech based on its position in the sentence. For instance, consider a sentence like, the researchers, and here comes the incomplete word, analyze the data. The word needs to function as an adverb describing how the researchers worked. A common mistake would be completing it as careful. The correct version is carefully, since it describes the way the action was performed. Paying attention to this sentence structure helps you choose the correct word form, not just a word with a similar meaning. This kind of grammar awareness becomes especially important with verb tenses. If the rest of the paragraph is written in the past tense, the missing word is very likely to follow the same pattern, even if the surrounding words don't make this obvious at first glance. Now, here is something important. Many TOEFL candidates think that knowing a few reading tips is enough to get a strong result, but it's not enough. To do well in TOEFL reading, you need to understand exactly how the different tasks work and which strategies you need to use to find the correct answers. That's exactly what we teach in our TOEFL packages. Our students get step-by-step guidance on how to approach the reading test effectively, so they feel confident and ready on test day. They learn how TOEFL reading questions are designed and which strategies they need to apply to answer them successfully. Our TOEFL packages include lessons for all tasks, sample answers, templates, practice tests, and much more. Click the link below to learn more. The fifth tip is to think about common word endings that match each gap. English has predictable patterns for many word types, and recognizing these patterns can help you complete words faster. Endings like ing, ed, tion, and ly appear constantly in academic texts, so train yourself to recognize these patterns quickly. For example, if you see this word, you can recognize that words ending in tion are common in academic writing, which leads you to the complete word communication. Recognizing these patterns saves you time, since you won't need to work out the structure of every single word from the very beginning. Over time, you'll start to recognize these patterns almost automatically. A useful way to build this skill is to keep a short list of common academic word endings as you study. Reviewing this list regularly trains your brain to spot these patterns instantly during the test, rather than working them out from scratch each time. Tip number 6 is to use context clues from words near the gap. Sometimes the surrounding words give you almost everything you need to know. Look at the words directly before and after the gap. These nearby words often signal what kind of word fits, whether it's a synonym, an opposite, or a word that's commonly used together with it. For example, in the sentence, the experiment, here comes the first word, unexpected, and here is the second incomplete word. The word results right after the second gap tells you that the missing word is connected to outcomes. This helps you complete it as produced, since researchers commonly produce results in academic writing. Reading the words around each gap carefully often points you directly to the answer, even before you fully understand the rest of the sentence. This strategy works particularly well in academic writing. This is because certain word pairs and phrases appear together so often that they almost predict each other. Building familiarity with these common word pairings can make this kind of guessing feel much more natural during the test. You can build this familiarity by paying closer attention to word combinations whenever you read academic English in your everyday life. Here's a tip that many candidates overlook. Stay calm if you don't immediately recognize a word. Some complete the words passages include topics or vocabulary you might not know well, such as specific scientific terms or historical references. If this happens, don't panic and don't leave the gap empty. Use everything you do know. Rely on the letters already given, the grammar of the sentence, and the general topic of the paragraph. Even partial knowledge can help you make an educated guess that's more likely to be correct than leaving the answer blank. Staying calm and using the clues available to you can help you score higher, even when you face words you're not fully familiar with. Remember that a thoughtful guess based on the clues in front of you is a much stronger choice than an empty gap. The examiners are scoring what you write, not what you were thinking, so it's worth attempting every single gap, even when you're not fully sure of the answer. By the way, if you want this channel to keep going, write yes in the comments, click like and subscribe. We only make videos that you actually want to watch. Now, let's continue with 3 more tips for the complete the words task. Tip number 8 is to read your completed sentence back before moving to the next gap. Once you've filled in the missing letters, take a moment to read the full sentence again from start to finish. This quick check helps you confirm 2 things: whether the sentence makes sense and whether it sounds grammatically correct. For example, you might complete a sentence so it reads, "The researchers discover the cause of the problem." The correct version should read, "The researchers discovered the cause of the problem." Reading the sentence back can help you catch a missing past tense ending like this before moving on to the next gap. This habit only takes a few seconds, but it can help you catch small grammar mistakes that are easy to miss the first time around. Building this habit during practice can help make it feel automatic by the time you take the actual test. After a while, you'll start to notice grammar inconsistencies almost instinctively, because you've trained yourself to read each sentence with a critical eye. Tip number 9 is to build your vocabulary around common academic topics. The Complete the Words task often uses paragraphs about academic subjects such as science, history, and society. It might also touch on topics like psychology or technology. Building familiarity with vocabulary from these areas in advance can help you recognize words more quickly during the actual test. For instance, if you regularly read short articles about topics like climate change, ancient civilizations, or human behavior, you'll start to recognize common academic vocabulary patterns. This familiarity makes it easier to predict missing words when you encounter similar topics in the Complete the Words task. Even reading just a little academic content regularly can build this kind of vocabulary awareness over time. You don't need to memorize long word lists to make progress here. Exposing yourself to academic English regularly through articles, podcasts, or short videos can help you build a strong sense of how academic vocabulary is typically used in context. The 10th and final tip is to practice with timed exercises regularly. Since the reading section gives you limited time for each task, you need to get comfortable completing this type of exercise quickly and accurately. Set a timer when you practice. Work through paragraphs without pausing to think for too long on each gap. The more you practice under realistic time pressure, the more natural the process becomes. You'll start recognizing word patterns and grammar clues without having to think through each step consciously. This kind of consistent time practice can help you feel more confident and prepared when you face this task on the actual test. It also helps you build the speed you need to move through the rest of the reading section with time to spare. If you find that you consistently run out of time during practice, try breaking the task into smaller stages. Spend a set amount of time reading the passage, then a separate amount of time filling in the gaps, and finally a short amount of time reviewing your answers. This structured approach can help you stay calm and organized even when the clock is running. With enough practice, this kind of pacing becomes second nature, and you'll move through the task with far less stress on test day. That's it! These are 10 tips for the Complete the Words task in TOEFL Reading. If you want expert guidance for your TOEFL preparation, check out our TOEFL packages using the link below. Our packages include step-by-step guidance, sample answers, templates, practice tests, and other useful resources to help you feel confident on test day. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their TOEFL score too. See you in the next video!